Are you tired of getting shaky shots like this on your gimbal? If you've been struggling to get stable gimbal footage, then you're probably making a few of these mistakes. In this video, I'll be going through some of the most common mistakes people make when using gimbals. If you fix these, you'll be guaranteed to get more stable footage. Selecting the incorrect shooting mode. Now, personally from experience, I know it's easy to set your gimbal in one mode and leave it hanging, but I have to tell you, it's extremely important to ensure you use the correct mode for each particular shot. A perfect example of this is when you're doing a tracking shot. If your intention is to only track forward motion, then using a pan tilt follow mode might introduce unintended movements on the tilt axis. Also, for certain movements, it might be necessary for it to keep the gimbal locked on every axis so that you don't introduce any unnecessary movements or micro jitters. So, always ensure to use the correct mode before you start shooting, not calibrating after each balance. Thanks to advances in technology, most of these gimbals can easily be auto-calibrated. It is important that after each balance that you auto-calibrate your gimbal so that the appropriate motor strength can be set. A gimbal that isn't calibrated properly will oftentimes not provide you with stable footage, or it will put unnecessary strain on the motors. Some gimbals can also be manually calibrated, but if you don't have that technical knowledge, don't worry about it, just do it the automatic way. Incorrectly walking. The gimbal is a tool for getting stable footage, but at the end of the day, if you're flailing about, there's not much you can do to counteract your movement. The key to getting good, stable gimbal footage is to walk as balanced as possible. Some persons may advise you to try the ninja walk, but I'll say as long as your steps are even and light, you're gonna get solid footage. Not adjusting your gimbal speed settings. Every gimbal will have different ways to adjust their settings. Similar to how you have to set the right gimbal mode, it is also important to set the correct speed based on what you're shooting. When I just started, I was tempted to only use the gimbal at its lowest settings. In my head, I thought slower and steadier shots meant more cinematic, but a faster speed setting might be necessary, especially if you're doing quick turns or sudden movement. You might want to adjust your gimbal speed based on your shooting situation. That's going to make your shots a lot more better. Not correctly balancing your gimbal. I save this one for last because it's the most obvious. If your gimbal is incorrectly balanced, you won't be able to get any stable shots. Some gimbals are able to compensate for incorrect balance by turning up motors, but all that's going to do is drain your batteries and stress them. First thing you do before you turn on your gimbal is to ensure it is correctly balanced, as this is the most single important thing when it comes to using a gimbal. Here's a video on how to correctly balance your gimbal, right here.